Hello, viewers. Namaste. I'm Vibhuti Jha from Jaipur Dialogue, USA, your host today, as always, and welcome to the show. Just as always, I request you to please like, subscribe, support our channel, contribute, and make us stronger, right? So, today we are going to talk about a very specific issue that has emanated from Bangladesh. We all know the, the butchering, the killings, the rape, the targeted attack that Hindus are facing in Bangladesh. And it was horrifying to read that uh, Khalida Zia, or whoever that jailed opposition leader was, had a statement of some time ago in which she said, "We are not a secular country. Bangladesh is an Islamic country, and those Hindus who want to live here, they have to either convert or leave." Remnants of the same statement made earlier in Kashmir when the slogan was leave, convert, leave, or die. To talk about this matter, and also it has a relationship with global Hindu diaspora, global Indian diaspora, and there can't be a better person to talk about this particular issue than Dr. Bharat Barai, who is a professor and practitioner of oncology in Chicago, and he has been one of the most active, most committed, most engaged Indian American in the US. Politically, he's independent, and he has been on our conversation several times in the past. And Bharat, welcome to the program today again.
Namaste.
Namaste. One of the things that always comes to mind is that people often and most often talk about that Hindus do not unite. We lack unity. And I have always said that unity is not a shirt, pant, churidar, sari that you wear it one same color, same design, and there is unity. Unity is always behind a cause and a purpose. Do you think the atrocities, the horrible nature of this Bangladesh Hindus attacks, which have been in the past as well, 1971 genocide that we know about, and today. But one thing is very great that for once, the Indian community in America has held many vigils, many protests, and many marches in support of Bangladeshi Hindus. Do you see this an awakening happening in Indian Americans here, Hindu Americans here, or finally they realized that Idi Amin can happen in Uganda, it can happen in Bangladesh, it can happen. Indians are under attack everywhere on the planet, despite the fact that we are the most peaceful community in the world anywhere, as an immigrant or as a group, as a people, as a societal or a cultural norm. Bharat, what do you think?
I think this is the topic that has awakened more people. There were always a core of Hindus who had realized this, but there were many that were hiding their heads in their sands, thinking that it did not exist, and they were simply buying the time till the ugly head of Islamic hardliners emerge. And we have seen that in many countries from time to time. It has happened in Pakistan, and the population of Hindus, which used to be around 12% in 1947, is now reduced to around 3%. In Bangladesh, which had population of 29% in East Pakistan in 1947, the latest statistician wrote it was around 8 to 9%, and we don't know where it will be going. It's as a result of forcible torture and conversions, where especially people of the lower economic status, they don't know what to do to survive because there is no hope for them. And Indian government in the past was, of course, exceptionally anti-Hindu. The current government is not anti-Hindu, but they are not aggressively pro-Hindu either. They are trying to profess that they are secular. Vibhuti, I think that secularism in general, if practiced universally, is a great idea, but it has to be a two-way street. You can't say what is mine and what is yours is half mine and half yours. And that's what is happening. The People who talk about secularism often, especially the Indian Muslims, they never talk about secularism anywhere else. And many times it may be true that those people who are talking about secularism either honestly believe or they are using it as a tool. But as we saw in case of Bangladesh, when Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who was really rescued by India from what was happening, he tried to profess secularism and he was murdered by the Islamists, his own army. So that is bound to occur in many countries unless this becomes a part of culture of the society where they demand. And I don't know of any Islamic country where people are demanding secularism as a part of the culture. Yeah, there may be isolated cases, some student leader in Bangladesh or Muhammad Yunus saying that they are our brothers and blah, blah, blah. But question is, does he have any following? Is his idea shared by rest of the people? And that's where I'm afraid most of the Islamic countries, almost all of them, none of them say that officially they are secular. They try to say that we will protect minorities, but really speaking, none of them practice secularism. So I don't know that this secularism business really works.
Very rightly said. Secularism business, it has somewhere along the line been imposed on India. So it looks. And very rightly, as you said, that none of the Islamic countries practice, profess, or preach about secularism. It looks like they are using freedoms as the fault line of democracy. Freedom for me, not for you. And as you very aptly put it, what is mine, what is yours, also half is mine. So when this kind of a thing cannot work, why is India still stuck on the badge of secularism, as if there is something we can't take it off? And I'm saying this because both of us are Prime Minister Modi's supporters. The one thing which he has done very successfully is taken the badge that we used to wear of a corrupt Indian, he's taken it off. Why don't we become a pointed, sharp, focused on that, hey, if you don't practice secularism, it doesn't exist for me either. Why are we
Vibhuti, we
fighting?
still have very lingering influence of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. And many people don't know his background. Granted, he did many things good for India. He led the fight, he knew who the enemy was, and practiced non-violence against the Britishers and tried to shame them. But there are many things that Gandhi did that I don't personally agree. And if you go, I have studied his biography, that explains why he was biased for the Muslims. He was not neutral. See, let me go over, many people, viewers may not be aware of the history. Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi's father was a Diwan of Porbandar, like a minister. He sent his son Mohandas Gandhi to United Kingdom to become a lawyer. He did become a lawyer and he came back. And he was sent to Mumbai to become a lawyer. Then what happened? He was not successful. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was not successful in his professional career in Mumbai, which was his first professional career. So he came back. He was, you can say, kind of jobless. He was still looking for opportunity. And a situation happened in East Africa, South Africa rather, where there was a fight between a Gujarati Muslim and his nephew. He was a businessman, but he did not know English, and neither did his nephew. So they took the case to the court, but the problem was of translation because it was all under the United Kingdom. So at that point, they were looking for an attorney, A, who could speak English and Gujarati, and B, who knew the British law because that is what was applicable in South Africa. So he got that unique opportunity to go to South Africa to represent a Muslim business owner, and he did it. And at that time, he was humiliated in the train and he led the fight. But ever since then, because of his employment with a Muslim sheikh, as we would call it, he was always biased. Now, I'm not saying there is anything wrong in being respectful to people of other religion. Ultimately, if you look at it, all of us, to a degree, are hypocrite. I may say that I'm a good Hindu, but what if I was born as a Muslim or a Jew or a Christian? So most of us practice the religion of our parents, and we had no ability to choose our parents. But after that is done, what you do and try to be fair to people of other faith, that's what really should count. And that's where Gandhi failed, that he did not see what was happening. And he was blindly, I think I saw Anand Ranganathan reading something which I was reading that, okay, at time of partition, he said that if the Muslims kill us, then it's okay for them to kill us. Ultimately, life and death is inevitable. And if a new country is created with different direction, I totally disagree with him. Maybe he was getting demented in his late 70s, or he had very weird kind of philosophy. Same thing we can talk about when 15 out of 16 Pradesh Congress committees had chosen Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel as the next prime minister. He overrode 15 out of 16 Pradesh Congress committees and said, no, Nehru should become prime minister. Now, I can't justify what Godse did because what he did was criminal. But at the same time, somebody had to override and say, Mr. Gandhiji or Mahatma Gandhiji, you are wrong here. You did good things for India. You help us lead towards independence. You went to jail for so many years. But what you are trying to profess, I understand that there was a deal where crores of rupees were to be given to Pakistan and many other things that Gandhi wanted to do to favor the Muslims, where he was not fair. And I think this Gandhian philosophy is still lingering in minds of some people that no matter what, we have to be quote unquote secular, even if secularism is a one-way street. I give you an example. One of the Pakistani doctor who is practicing in our hospital when Narendra Modi came to power said, Barai, are you going to make India a Hindu Rashtra? I said, listen, I am a US citizen. I don't vote in India's election. India is a democracy and people of India will decide whether they want to become Christian nation or Hindu nation or Islamic nation or secularism. That is up to them, not up to me. But then I said, by the way, why don't you tell me if secularism is a good idea, as you think, why is it not good for 57 Islamic countries? I say, you are a Pakistani origin person. You are trying to tell India whether India should be secular or this way or that way. But why don't you first go and tell Pakistani government that they should become secular? They should respect the Nehru Liaquat Ali agreement about protection of the minorities. So this is, sometimes a counterattack is the best defense. When you point out to them that, okay, guys, if you think secularism is a great idea, fine, go and tell first 57 Islamic countries to make them at least, India may not be a perfect secular country, but go ahead and make it a secular country. I had Islamic countries. I had the same response when I was on a couple of shows, and I said, you are telling about why did Narendra Modi go to the Ram temple? It was on Peter Bergen's show, I was there, and I was also on the Economist show from London. And I said, okay, tell me, why does the King of England get everything done in Westminster Abbey? I said, that's a church. And if you say that you are a perfectly secular country, why does it happen in the church? Or why does the President of the United States, on the day he takes the oath, 20th of January, first go in the morning to the church right across. I say, if you are questioning whether Narendra Modi should go to Ram temple or not, and he clarified that he went there as a Ram Bhakta. I said, why does a Hindu prime minister does not have right to practice his own religion, but the King of England has the right to do it, the President of United States has the right to do it, and of course all Islamic countries do it. So that's when they shut up. And guess what? They don't bring that segment of my reply when they edit the show. That is called selective editing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There are many questions that was asked, and I gave them pretty sharp replies, and then many of those things were cut out. But that's the way it happens. Unless it's a live show and the person has the ability to edit, they edit out many things that they don't like and present the version that they want to present.
Bharat, I want to assure you, we will not edit it here. And I, to whoever those people are who edited your this statement, you can copy this show to them. That hey, you can shut me up, but not others. You know,
Well,
like
I mean, he was there. He was taping me live. I mean, videotaping,
yeah,
and he was no other person than a very famous CNN journalist, Peter Bergen.
yeah, right. So no, it is important for us to. I mean, you said it very, very nicely that sometimes attack is the best defense, and that's what I do too. So thank God we agree on our strategy. That I have decided to not offer apologies for who we are, why we are the way we are, what we do. I counter question them back. So just to give you an example, and the viewers that example, to keep that in mind. So when I was asked some time ago, why you Hindus don't eat beef? So I said, why don't you eat horse? Why do I have to give him explanation about our reasoning and our justifications and our belief about not eating cow? So why don't you eat horse? But I gave them the reason. You have banned horse meat because you won't have a cavalry otherwise. Likewise, I also asked him that you never have any comment on Muslims not eating pork. We don't care whether you eat whatever you eat. But why do you have to make it a point of discussion and debate and condemnation? Oh, Hindus don't eat beef. So big deal. I eat whatever I want. Where is the constitutional mandate or religious mandate or a God given mandate that you have to eat this, whatever I do? But coming back to a very important issue,
If you don't mind, can I, since I'm a vegetarian
yes,
and I don't drink alcohol, this kind
right.
of question always comes up. And I give them the answer. And being a doctor, I am in a better position to talk about the nutrition and proteins and other things. And I said, okay, tell me what kind of meat does a chicken eat? I say, you like chicken and you say it's a good protein, right? Yes. So what kind of meat does a chicken eat to make a good protein for you? I say, what kind of meat does a cow eat? And you say that, oh, that meat becomes a very good steak. I say, ultimately, what they are eating are vegetable things, and it is the body that synthesizes into the protein and muscle. So I say, instead of me eating meat, I go to the same thing that the cows and the chicken eat and make the protein myself. So I said, I have as good proteins as you eat because I ate the same thing. You get it from an intermediary, the cows and the chicken, while I go to the manufacturer, the source of the food.
Brilliant. That's why I said we have to all give our reasoning from where we know what we know and gather facts, as you just now said. How many Indians, vegetarians, would be able to articulate this health dimension of the entire
So,
proposition?
the composition of the amino acid, whether it comes from the plant source or it comes from the animal source, is exactly identical.
Right.
A homocysteine or a cysteine amino acid, it is exactly same whether it comes from the plant source or it comes from the animal source. It is synthesized into the structure either in the plant structure
Mm,
or in the animal structure.
right. Doesn't matter. This is brilliant. This is the
The,
kind of this is
the
the kind of this is the kind of argument that we need to put forth.
same
And
kind of argument that you put, why don't the Muslims, same people were arguing about India, why ban the cow slaughter and all that. I said the same thing. I said, why don't you eat pork?
Yeah.
Of course, I don't eat pork either. Oh no, we don't eat pork. So it's the same thing. If you want to live with majority Hindu population, and if they have reason why they don't want cows to be slaughtered, respect it, or go to the countries where cows are regularly slaughtered and eat it. I say same thing about alcohol. Yes, I personally don't drink alcohol, but you have most of the airlines from Muslim countries that will not serve alcohol, or in the countries they won't serve alcohol. Why? Because you think it's bad. But on the other hand, you guys live in America, Canada, United Kingdom, France, Germany. You don't have any problem living in those countries. Same thing about the Uniform Civil Code. Even though India is not implemented, I say, why don't you ask for a personal Islamic law in USA? Why don't you ask for personal Islamic law in Canada or UK or France? There you live very easily with the Uniform Civil Code. But when it comes to India, you all start asking, no, no, there should be a separate code. That's because the Indian government is weak, whether it's a Congress government for all these years or even now BJP government. If they say that this is good for country and we are going to implement it, hell with it, I think they will go along with it. And those
Brilliant.
who don't like it,
Yeah.
how many Muslims have migrated out of India because of the Muslim law or Islamic law? Nobody went to
Okay.
Pakistan, nobody went to Afghanistan, nobody went to Bangladesh. Yeah, they migrated to Western countries, but that's an economic migration, same kind for which I came here and many other people came.
That's right. Very true. And let's get this is where the issue is. That's very important that we Hindus, because we have not done our good prachar, good public relations, we have become victims of propaganda relations. That propaganda narrative that is built against us, the most peaceful, professional, doing well community, is attacked by Indian American Muslim Council and various other groups of people mocking us. So now I'm asking you this particular question because you are deep into the community, we both are, and to figure out, are we becoming aware, awakened, or are we still Wokistani in our mindset, the Indians in America?
Well, it depends. Obviously, we are a diverse population. Every 6% on this world is Indian. There are people like you and me and many others who are awakened and who think that what is happening is gross injustice, unfair, unbalanced, and they are waking up. There are others who say, easy lucky go, as long as I get my breakfast and coffee and tea, and I get my food and I get my car and I have my job, I don't want to worry about what is happening everywhere else.
Right. Correct.
And there are Wokies who always think that anything that is done by Hindus is wrong. So, Vibhuti, I don't think we are ever going to have as great unity as the Islamists have, but that should not be a force to deter us. If Shivaji would have thought that way, or if Rana Pratap would have thought that way, we would be different people. But somebody decided that yes, this is the right thing to do, whether others join or not. Later on, many other people joined, and we stayed to practice our religion as we think it is right.
That's very well said. What I wanted to also talk to you about is that, the targeted attack that is happening, you know, we are not hurting anybody. And I can say this with great pride that our community doesn't hurt anybody. We do not tell others to become like us, yet we are the target. Why do you think that's happening? We are just about max at best we are 4 million people in America.
Because of our stupid philosophy, ahimsa, and I don't agree with it. Today morning, one of the Parsi leader, who is kind of woke, as I know him, wrote me, Bharat, there should be no violence. I said I would agree to it to a limited degree. No violence, but violence is okay to defend yourself, self-defense, or when you perceive there is an imminent attack against you. So I'm not going to say you hit me on one side and I'll give you my cheek on the other side. They say, oh, that was Gandhi's philosophy. I say, okay, then you go and hit Gandhi and let him give you another cheek. I'm not Gandhi and I'm not going to do it. And I will not advise any human being to do it. As long as you don't hit me and you want to talk by argument, that's fine. Let's talk by argument. But the time you start hitting me, I should hit back. And this was the same stupid philosophy of Nehru, which got us into shameful defeat against China in 1962. And I'm glad that the current government has woken up and is trying to do a lot more to try to make India militarily strong, nuclear weapons. Otherwise, you can ask question, why does any country need nuclear weapon or any country need army if we are going to practice total ahimsa under any and every circumstances? No, there has to be self-defense. And you must be strong enough to give the other guy a smacking reply so that they not dare to hit you again. So being strong, being powerful is probably the best guarantee against not being hit because the other guy knows what will happen if you hit.
I'm delighted to hear that from you because of the simple reason that all our gods and goddesses, they are all empowered and endowed with their own selected weapon of choice. And they have always stood up and fought whatever the evil that was conjured up at that time, even to the extent that all the gods got together to create Kali to destroy or contain or eliminate Raktabij. So
But
all gave the speciality part of it. So here again Gandhigiri comes in, ahimsa parmo dharma, dharmo rakshati rakshata, bhul gaye sab. They all forgot
even there,
that you have to.
I have little different feeling.
Okay.
What has happened is along the line of this ahimsa business, they expect God to go and fight for them
Yes,
and not do anything. Let Kali go and hit. I say, hey guys, you be the Kali.
that's right.
Yes, do it in a justified manner. You don't want to go and attack other people unnecessarily in an unjustified way to try to impose your dadagiri on other people. But when other people try to impose dadagiri on you, first you try to reason out, argue out, and if that doesn't work and it becomes clear that now they are going to physically attack you, then go ahead and smack them so the next time think twice about attacking you. And this philosophy of MAD or mutually assured destruction has worked since Second World War, where there has been no major fight between Russia and United States or NATO and Russians because they know that if they try to use nuclear weapon against another, they will be gone too. So this formula of mutually assured destruction has worked. And
That's what
to a small degree, we can practice in the community also.
we must. Unless you show your strength, people
Yeah.
take you for granted, which is what has happened to us. Is that we have been taken for granted. These people are ahimsa driven people. They have no guns. They won't fight. They will seek peace. And I was told by somebody of a different faith, he said, you guys are such peace loving people that you will do whatever it takes to protect peace at the expense of your self destruction.
Yeah.
That was a pretty profound statement that we have become so shithil, so impotent, demanding peace from those who want to cut our throat, that we have become impaired. Now, I want to, coming back to the same topic, given what has happened in Bangladesh, I saw the protest happened in Bangladesh. Young boys were saying that this is our country, we are not going to go to India, we need protection, we will fight. That was very remarkable. There is an uprising happening against the injustices. Do you think some, and all over the US we had massive protests yesterday and day before yesterday, New York, Chicago, Houston, everywhere. Do you think this is creating an awakening within the Indian community in America, and so that we are able to get rid of the chola of secularism and the unnecessary dictum of nonviolence?
The answer is yes. May not be to the degree that you and me will like, but better than what it used to be. Gradually, they are trying to realize that all this talk about secularism is a one-way street, and it's not only happening in USA. you realize that there have been riots going on in United Kingdom also.
Hmm.
That the Britishers are fighting English till I die because they are realizing a small minority, 4.5% of Muslim population of UK, their imams are openly talking about bringing Sharia laws in UK and all those nonsense. Instead of being peaceful immigrant, thinking they chose to come to United Kingdom.
Hmm.
Nobody forced them to go there. And now, after coming there, they are trying to become the boss. Same thing is happening in France. You saw in Vienna that they had to
Yeah.
cancel the concert of uh, Taylor Swift
Yes.
because they were trying to bomb. And believe it or not, I was in Vienna last week,
Hmm.
and we were, in fact, we started commenting. We went to see a concert of Mozart and Strauss in Vienna at the Hofburg Palace. And we said, gosh, there was no security there. We are part of the Viking tour, and there are almost 1,200 people in the hall there. And we walked in, and there was no security. So even the Western European countries need to wake up. And this was intercepted by who? Not by Austrian police, not by Austrian intelligence. They are not allowed to tap or do this kind of surveillance. It was a foreign intelligence service that didn't identify who it was. I hope it was not Mossad. It might be Mossad or CIA that intercepted the whole plot. And how many lives of Austrians did it save? 100. If this foreign intelligence services would not have alerted Austrians, so many lives would have been lost.
That's
So
right.
this criminal activity of trying to impose radical Islam on rest of the people. Now I grant there are good Muslims who don't share this philosophy, but those Muslims are quiet. They don't come out on the street to try to protest that, hey, stop massacre. Yes, there may be few here and there who might issue the statement,
Hmm.
but look at it for Palestine. It was the Hamas that attacked Israel, and now when they are getting smacked, they are coming out, and some of our Hindu, I see all the so-called Hindu students who went out with the Palestinians on the university campuses. Why don't they come out now and protest for the Bangladeshi Hindus when they are being raped, where they are being tortured, they are being murdered, their temples are being set on fire? Where are those woke students? You don't see them protesting. So this is all radical Islam that is trying to incite the people, but that's also the result. You can see nobody likes innocent civilians being killed in Gaza. But then the blame goes on the terrorist Hamas that they are setting up their command and control centers in the schools, right among the refugees. They are setting up their leaders instead of fighting, coming out brave, they are hiding among the shelters and then claiming that they should get the protection. And of course, blaming Israel. But what can Israel do? If they have to destroy Hamas terrorists, they have no choice but to bomb. And unfortunately, some civilians are getting killed.
That is truth telling at its best, because now we also notice that Emmanuel Macron and the NATO forces are advising and instructing Israel, Netanyahu, not to eliminate Hamas and protect civilian life, which has to be done. Like civilians almost become always a collateral damage will
Yeah.
always happen because they use those people in that.
You
But
know,
here is a tricky thing, Bharat. The
but
tricky
the
thing,
whole thing is the blame goes on Hamas, not
yeah,
on Israel.
right,
Why don't they tell Hamas to release all those hostages
right.
unconditionally? Then there will be tremendous pressure on Israel to stop the war and go for ceasefire. Though the second goal of Israel is to destroy Hamas. I mean, all the money that Qataris give, instead of going for betterment of Gaza civilians, why did they not set up the industries? Why did they not set up? Vibhuti, they've done a great disservice to the Palestinians by keep on giving them everything. Everybody thinks that, oh, they are refugees. So United Nations give them money, the European Union gives them money, the Arab countries give them money. So as a result, their schools are free, their food is free, they don't have anything else to do. There is a spare money coming from Kuwait, it's coming from Qatar, it's coming from Turkey, Saudi Arabia. And what do they use the money? To get the rockets, to make the RPGs, and ultimately attack because they have nothing else to do. Everything is free. So that has done a great disservice to them. Instead of that, they would have said, okay, here is the industry that we are setting up for you. I'm sure there are smart Palestinians too, but they are all part of the radical movements or they can't speak.
They are all driven by the diktats of the book, which you and I know about. But here is another part that I wanted to you to talk about is that targeted attack by Khalistanis, Muslims, radical groups of Muslims who are attacking Hindus in Canada, in UK, in US as well. I mean, there are people who they are definitely trying to foment a hate against us. So, for example, yesterday, somebody with a million followers, an American guy, made a comment. Oh, here is the picture of Sikhs and Hindus fighting it out their annual ritual battle. And I told him that when you do not know something, do not comment. And I said that those were not Sikhs, they are Khalistanis. And I asked him if tomorrow Antifa or such groups like Antifa or others, CARE and others demand a separate homeland within your own country, would you allow it to happen? KKK or others. I said that KKK, Antifa and others, they get together and want to declare Montana as their new home and new country. Would you let it happen? So get to know the truth. Here, what is important is that majority of the Indians themselves don't know the truth because they have been brainwashed into believing the other agenda. So my question again is, are Indians becoming aware? Yes, probably. The other part is, why such hate against us? Why? Because unless
Because,
we don't know the why, we won't be able to find the answer for that.
well, why hate against us? Because
Yeah.
we have been weak, we have been tolerating it. It's like if they hit you on one cheek and you gave them another cheek, they will take an opportunity. But if they hit you on one side and if you smack them, they won't hit you on the other cheek. So far, the Hindus have tolerated it. And I give you an example. In 6 cities in USA 3 years ago, they passed very dirty anti-India and anti-Hindu resolution. It passed in San Francisco, Portland, Minneapolis, Boston, Cambridge, and it came to Chicago. And small group of Hindus, Indians, we decided to fight it out. We did not have as many resources as CARE had. They probably get their money from Arab countries free of charge. As far as we were concerned, we had to spend our own money from our own pocket, which we did. And we fought it very successfully. And it turned out that we were not sure till the day that we will win. But Vibhuti, when we were talking with young group of students from IIT and other volunteers, I said, look, guys, if we go down fighting like Rana Pratap or Shivaji, but not surrender. Let's take it to the end. If we lose, we lose. But we were very gratified that our efforts worked. And guess since then what has happened? They have not taken it to any other city. And we told other cities that if they do bring you to your city, we have developed, what worked in our case doesn't mean that it will work in your city also, but we will be willing to share with you what we think worked. Because some of the aldermen that we talked after the resolution was defeated, and even the mayor who did not help us, guess what that mayor? We did a fundraiser for her, even though she did not favor us at time of CA resolution. And then I did not even bring up the topic. I said, let's help her. So if she becomes mayor again, we can go to her. And she herself brought up and said that after the election, if I become mayor again, and if such a resolution was brought against India or Hindus, I will not allow it to come. She turned around. And so many aldermen shared with us why they voted for us. So I don't want to go over it on the air, but I will share it with any other pro-India or pro-Hindu cities where this thing comes up. But get it or not, in the last 3 years, they have not tried to go to any other city. They were talking it about taking it to Cook County board and taking it to the state of Illinois. And now we were awakened and we said, okay, try to do it. We know what worked and we will use the same formula. So if you fight it out, the hate, then they will know you will not always be successful. But if they had to put up a stiff fight to get a close win, they will have to see whether those things will work.
Congratulations for that initiative and leadership. And I think majority of the times Indian community misses out on leadership element. And I'll give you an example, and I seek your thought on it because this is something which I sent the message to many groups, WhatsApp groups in America, and I asked them that we have more than it is when Hindu American Foundation and Kona issued their statements, Hindus for America, they all issued statements condemning the Bangladesh attack on Hindus and killings and everything else. I asked this question of every single Indian association in various groups. There are more than 1,000 Indian associations. India Association of Long Island, Tamil Sangam here, Tana there, Bajana there, all these institutions are there. I said, how is it that not a single Indian association has issued a statement condemning the brutality of the attack or any attack on Indians in Bangladesh? Why don't you issue it? And I also asked them, many past presidents, that have you studied your own, a memorandum of understanding or your board resolutions that you are prohibited from doing this? Because it's important to issue a statement. And I brought freedom of speech argument there, that you are not taking a political stand. You are taking a humanitarian stand in which our group of people are being butchered in Bangladesh. And you mean to say you are going to sit tight because somewhere along the line, our constitution doesn't say so? If it doesn't say so, then you have the right to do it, unless you include it in there. And that is where the testing happens. And believe it or not one leadership of anywhere has even cared to respond to that. Not one. They are all sitting.
They are more interested in celebrating and partying and dancing. I agree with you, but I keep on prodding them.
Yes.
Because I said, you are Hindu temple, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't this is the brutality against Hindus, and why don't you protest against them? So I mean, some of those things are changing. Like yesterday, there was a parade in Naperville. It was an India Day parade. One of the organizers did not like it, but on some of the floats we put this Save Bangladeshi Hindu posters. He said, "Are Bharat Bhai, ye kya hai?" I said, "This is exactly what it should be." I said, "You are celebrating India Day parade, but if India is not strong, if India is not independent, if Hindus are not there, there will be no parade to celebrate." So, in spite of the organizer, whom we knew, he is our friend, trying again, part of the old-fashioned woke culture. Are hum ye kya kar rahe hain? We said that is exactly what it is, and that's what we did. I'm talking about yesterday in Naperville, the parade. So it's changing. I don't know whether it is changing sufficiently, but it's like this. If we never try, it will never happen.
Very well said. And I will share this with you again. In New York on 18th, in a few days' time, there is going to be India Day parade. And the president of FIA has included a float on Ram Mandir.
Yeah.
And they were attacked by Indian American Muslim Council and others that you are bringing anti-Muslim thing by bringing Ram there. And I'm glad the president of the thing said, nothing doing, it's our thing, and you have no locus standi to say something on that. So to that end, I'm seeing definite awakening happening. The issue is, we are late in the game, but we are fighting now, which is very good. I want to come to another part. Explain to the audience and the viewers one element. 80% of the Indians vote Democrat. California is a classic example. Talked about resolutions and laws. They brought in SB 403 there for caste based discrimination, targeting Hindus there. It was defeated because Governor Newsom vetoed the bill, taking the right decision.
It was
Yeah,
not defeated.
yeah, it was not given,
It was Governor Newsom who vetoed it
vetoed it.
because of, and I don't want to go into detail, the background things that happened. I'll share with you in private.
Sure,
But yes, Governor Newsom vetoed it, and there were reasons, and I'll share with you in private.
right,
He realized that he realized that it was stupid because there are enough anti-discrimination laws already existing.
correct.
So any kind of discrimination is already outlawed. So this was an unnecessary poking the Hindus, because I myself don't believe in any kind of caste discrimination. In fact, the caste is the thing that has kept the Hindus somewhat divided. And if the caste were to disappear, and if all Hindus were considered equal and equally respectable, and I strongly support it, that thing will not come into the picture. But there is no caste discrimination among Hindus in USA. There was really no reason whatsoever to bring it up, except that George Soros funded it, and all George Soros's outfits wanted to needle the Hindus. This is one way that you will be put on the defensive about some laws existing, and some attorney general or somebody trying to use it to target somebody. And some things were pointed out to Newsom, and Newsom find a very nice excuse or the rationale publicly to say why he vetoed it. But I also know in private why he vetoed it, and I'll share with you.
Yes, sure. Thank you. And this is important. When the veto came through, somebody whose name I will not mention here, but he or she was on our show, and we were told that they were horrified that more than 80% of Indians living in Silicon Valley were either apathetic towards this entire SB 403, totally unawares about its impact and implication for them and for their children, and they were under the impression of शतरंज के खिलाड़ी mindset, हमें कुछ नहीं होगा, nothing will happen to us. Where does this smart people, millionaires in Silicon Valley, why are they driven with that mindset? And I believe all of them are joining Kamala Harris for $500 donation for a houseful event to raise funds for her, not knowing that she has actually done nothing for us.
Well, I'll share with you what has happened. There are some, and I have this kind of civil war in my family also. My
Me
daughter
too. Me too.
is independent, so I tell them that I'm going to make the decision based on the merits. I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican. But here is what I argue with them, and here is what they argue with me. And I said, since there is no Barai party, I do not agree with the Republicans when it comes to gun control, because I think there is no reason for people to have ordinary citizens to have guns. Yes, there is legitimate reason why some people, and I point out, like I live technically in state of Indiana across the border from Chicago, there are farms, they are in boonies. There is nothing, there is no police within 50 miles. So if somebody came to attack them with the guns or something, how are they going to defend themselves? There is nothing within 40 miles of there. So those people legitimately need guns to defend themselves. So gun permits can be given in select situations for self-defense, and they can justify why they need it. But there is no justification for every Tom, Dick, and Harry to walk into Walmart or any of the sports store, buy AK-47 or AR-15, and kill innocent people. So I have strong disagreement with the Republican philosophy. So they might think that I'm siding with Democrat. Maybe. The second issue is about women's right. I believe women should have right to do what is good for their health, and states should not be passing the laws about abortion and other things. But then when it comes to the Democrats, their policies, especially their economic policies, and many of their social policies are bankrupt. Allowing 10 million illegal immigrants to come, including many drug peddlers, criminals, is totally insane. No country can survive. Then why don't you open up the US borders to everybody? Anybody who wants to come here. I mean, today, the Britishers, they were complaining about the Muslims that our own people don't have enough to eat, but these guys who came illegally to United Kingdom, they are being kept in Holiday Inn Express. They are being given daily allowance for spending, while British government doesn't give us anything. We have to pay the taxes. So these politicians are becoming great granddaddies by giving people all this money who have contributed nothing to the British society. They live in Holiday Inn Express while we live in a little shanty type of house. And in winter, we try to economize in heating because it costs money, while these people have all the liberties to do what they want to do. And I think that is legitimate complaint. And I have same complaint against Democrats. We know that all governments need money and there should be something called safety net. But what is happening is that all this, many of the Democratic presidents are trying to become heroes by using, जैसे बोलता है ना कि दूसरे के पैसे से दिवाली करते हैं. So they tax people and say, okay, now money for this, money for this, money for this, because they never worked for that money. And people who work in our hospital and our office, they complain the same thing, that we middle class have to pay all those taxes and people get all these freebies. Yeah, people should get nutrition, but they should not be filling up their cart and then weighing 300 pounds. And now we pay for their diabetes care and they pay their high blood pressure care. So, there are negative points on both the
Yes,
parties.
that's right.
So I said that there is no Barai party, so I have to go along and decide whichever is the best. But
Right.
my daughters, many of our youngsters are very fixated on one idea. Okay, Trump is against abortions. But I say, okay, but take into account everything because there is no perfect candidate that will fit into my ideology or your ideology. So, out of two candidates that are available, make the decision based on the merits of each candidate, and you probably will make that decision with 51-49% kind of formula.
Right. You are so right. You are so practical, saying this because very interestingly enough, Kamala Harris has adopted two of Trump policies. One of them is no tax on tips for the restaurant workers.
Yeah.
She has adopted that. And now she's talking about there has to be some border control. So the person who was supposed to be the czar of immigration and border control, she said, I'm not the czar. And they're trying to change that narrative. Importantly enough, she was not czar. To use the Bill Clinton definition of what is, she was czarina, not a czar.
But, Vibhuti, I'm surprised that Trump, he got the bump after the assassination attempt. Why is he not bringing up these issues where Democrats are vulnerable? Instead of using the sentences like she is a bitch and Kamala, don't bring up all that nonsense.
I
Who cares
agree.
for it? Kamala Harris is enough vulnerable on her policies. For
Policy.
example, immigration, she was in charge. Biden had appointed her. What did she do? Why are these 10 million illegal immigrants here? And why are the cities and other people bearing the expense to sustain them? Those are legitimate questions which will appeal to the common United States citizen. Not, she is the bitch and she is Kamala and all that. And same thing is about their economic policies. That why are they taxing middle class so much to give freebie? It's one
Right.
thing to give safety net, and I'm all for safety net. That people are in unfortunate situation, they should get some help,
Yeah.
but that help should be just sufficient for them to survive, but set up enough incentives for them to work and earn the money.
Right.
You and me came up, I don't know what I came up with $9 and $9, $18, me and my wife, and we worked ourselves.
That's
So
right.
why can't most people work and produce the wealth?
You are absolutely right. I know of this story. The first generation Indians came with $6 or $8 or $9 of in their pocket, which is what the Reserve Bank of India allowed the max on their P form approvals. That I know of personally. You know that. But important part here is again, how is it that Indians don't see through that gameplay, like you saw through the gameplay? Yes, you said it that gun policy is what it is. It is a constitutional provision, but there are people who need the guns to protect and defend themselves because they are in a huge country like America, where the land is so widely distributed. This country is 3 times larger than India and has one-fourth the population. So there are plenty of scarce people living in rural areas who need the protection, no doubt about that. But it can't be indiscriminate. Like so your state, Chicago, for example, Chicago City has the maximum gun control law, yet it has continuous violence. So has New York. So has California. Toughest gun laws, but the guns are illegal. Guns are the problem. But that's a different issue altogether. But I want to also say something very interesting is that tech media. How is it that Indians are not taking advantage of the tech media in the sense that Wikipedia, for example, completely erased the awards and recognitions J.D. Vance had received as the soldier in the army. They removed it. There is a vicious gameplay going on. They just today I saw a news item that Tulsi Gabbard has been put on a terrorist watch list by Biden administration. I have immediately shot the message to Tulsi and asking, is this true? But the fact that these things are happening is a clear sign to you and I that next could be us.
Well, and that has been true. Some of us have been on the list and had to fight out for what you do. So there are lower level justice department. Justice department is infiltrated at the lower level by some of the idealists and the upper level people, like here to Tulsi Gabbard, to punish her. They are tolerating what is happening. So the lower level people are used to put on the terrorist list, like they used to say that RSS and VHP, same way that they are on CIA's this list. Who
Right.
cares for CIA? I mean, CIA has its own function. It's an intelligence agency. If they put Bharat Barai on a list as a terrorist, who cares? In the sense, unless they take some action against me. This is a politically motivated thing. So even in democracy, people who are in power, they do abuse power, they misuse the power till they are voted out. And there is no question that the Justice Department under Biden administration is using the lower level people to try to selectively target them to silence them. So silencing them is not the monopoly of the dictators alone. That is also the function of, they have to do it in a different way, but they try to do it in a different way. And then you try to hire the lawyers who cost you $1,000 or $1,500 an hour in Washington. So one of the lawyers said, one who sues my client is my best friend, because my client has to come to me and then pay me $1,000 an hour. So that kind of game among the lawyers goes on, keep on suing unnecessarily. Somebody will have to hire you and then pay you a ton of money to try to defend themselves from frivolous lawsuits.
You said something very fascinating because I saw the movie, The Devil's Advocate, Keanu Reeves movie. That is a pretty foretelling movie. It's an old movie, but if you get the time, watch it. And in that, the evil says, Keanu Reeves asks, why we lawyers? Because we lawyers are in everything.
Yeah,
That's why we
that's
can do this. Bharat, it has been marvelous having this conversation, which is what I love all the time, is a free, honest, truthful telling, like your opinions. Deeply appreciate and think. I think that's the reason why we get along.
I don't know what kind of feedback you get about me. I'm
No,
sure.
I'll tell you something very clear. People are looking for honest, bold statements. Gone is the era where you and I gathered news by reading New York Times or Chicago Tribune. Today we read news on this
social media.
social media.
How many hate mails you get about me?
Well, I haven't got any hate mail. No, honestly, about this particular program, when it comes, I will definitely share with you, and you can definitely see it yourself. What has happened is there are people who are now feeling the pinch. They're getting exposed. Look, we are living in an era today, Bharat, where we don't read New York Times for news. As I said, news comes here. I did not get the news that Tulsi Gabbard is on a terror watch list on New York Times or any other website. It came on this one, and the guy was giving evidence. So I asked. Because these days you can manipulate anything that is there through the social media, technology media. So I will definitely share. I will share this show with you. You can definitely see it yourself. Yeah, there are times where people do comment. There are people on all sides of the aisle. But I will tell you one thing. Majority of the people are appreciating that at last somebody has shown the courage to tell the truth the way it is. A few days ago, I did a program with another gentleman who has written a book that Gandhi was responsible for delaying India's independence, and he has gone into the British archives, the documents now be made public, to show that he was called Mahatma at the diktat of the British government. And he gives that particular notification, he has put it in paper. Here it is, where it was told to all the people in the media and the government that from this day onwards, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi has to be addressed as Mahatma. Many people don't know this.
You agreed to the partition.
Yeah. So that's what it is. Thank you, Bharat. It's always a pleasure. See you in September.
I would like to see what the feedback is.
You will. You will. Once the program goes live, you will see it. Thank you very much, Bharat. And as I always say, Satyameva Jayate, for truth to triumph, you and I have to stand up.